Welcome into the Game Plan, presented by the Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn.
Welcome into the Game Plan. We're here in Big Bear AI Command Center Studio, and we're here with our head coach, Dan Quinn, and the legend, Logan Paulsen. I'm your host, Bryan Colbert Jr. And Coach, we talked last week about the short turnaround. Now we had a little bit of extra time.
Yes.
How did you utilize that extra time?
Yeah. After 2 games, you want to see some of the things that have gone well, what's the things that you want to apply. And so it's not a bye, it's not that, but we're only 2 games in. And so what are the things skill-wise we want to improve on, scheme-wise, and it's really functioning as a whole group. That's the communication. Any good unit, you got to put these times in together. This needs more attention. This we need to do more of, and that's what we did.
So you said it's not a bye, and obviously the time frame's different.
Yep.
But how? And again, I'm assuming you always self-scout and are looking for those corrections.
Yep.
Like, how is it different than like a regular week? You know what I'm saying? In that way, because
Yeah.
the extra day isn't there. Sometimes as a player, I was like, this is weird because it's not really a day off. You know what I'm saying? But,
Yeah. So we wanted to come back, make corrections from 2 games on a Monday. What parts needed more attention? What parts needed more timing?
Because you missed it because of Thursday. I got you. Yeah.
So we put 2 games into one in terms of corrections and things we want to nail. And that's what we really dug into, because as you're getting started, the best of the best teams function well as a group. What needs more time? Not just your skill work individually, but what do we need to get better as our whole group? That's, to me, when we'll be at our best, when 2 + 2 = 5. We're communicating, we're talking better,
right.
like the cohesion. And so not every single part needs more time, but the things that do, you shine a light on them.
And Coach, as we look at this offense, we lost a big member of it, a true leader
Yes.
in Austin Eckler. But whenever you lose a player, it's a chance for the other guys to step up, those other guys on that depth chart. How excited are you to see what this running back room can do with this extra opportunity?
Yeah, it's hard because in the NFL, you hear the next man up, and that's good for the outside, but internally it's way bigger than that. You know, Austin made a huge impact here on and off the field. The performance, the standards, the professionalism, the teammate. So when those moments happen, it won't be just one, but at the running back spot specifically, we're really excited about this group, man. You've heard us talk about this group, where we're at, what we can do, and so we are fired up to see, guys that are unique, they're different, and we'll feature them in that way. But we are very, very excited to see them really let it rip.
You talk about great leaders and you talk about great teammates. I think of Deebo Samuel Sr. Yes, he's only been here for a short amount of time. However, we've seen you guys use him in a myriad of ways. How valuable is it to have a Swiss Army knife like Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, he's an incredible competitor. He really is, and you haven't seen all the things by any stretch that he can do. Hell, he'd make a hell of a nickel, a safety, linebacker half the time, blitzer. But I think you're seeing like his whole skill set, and so, and a number of it is excellent. It's at receiver. It's on a kick return. It's getting the ball out of the backfield. It's all of those, which makes defending a player like that so damn difficult, because he's not in a location where you might traditionally play man-to-man or play on somebody. So having a guy that can do different jobs, think of it in basketball where, like, why is the 5 bringing the ball up the court? Like, it's not supposed to happen. Like, okay, but this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It makes it a real challenge, and he is a factor.
Seems like every time we sit and talk, we talk about the test that our offensive line is going to go through because of all these pass rushers, right? Michael Parsons last week. Well, now we have a defensive end in Max Crosby that we're going against. How do you prepare for a guy like him and this Raiders defense?
Yeah, it's everyone, really. And to be at our best, Brian, we have to have balance. When you play a game that you're one-sided, it tilts to their advantage. And that's not how we want to play, for sure. But getting back to Crosby, just like an absolute slayer, man. He's an absolute competitor, speed, length. He plays almost every snap. Like, he's that much of a factor. So, yeah, we've held him in high regard. But that is also life in the NFL. And the talented guys and things that can do things that other people can't. And we saw it, over the first couple weeks. But this is what it is. And you got to find your matchups and neutralize those, when you can.
The football purist in me really loves seeing, Brian Burns, Michael Parsons, and then Max Crosby, and just how differently they get it done. Like, what's his thing that is different than, let's say, Micah, right? Like, because they're all effective in their own different ways, but they got that special pitch, that special quality.
Yeah.
What's his special thing?
I would say there's 2 of them that makes him special. One, Logan, like, his effort level and relentlessness is elite.
Yeah.
And think how hard that is to battle the the 330-pound tackles all the time and still have that same ability to do it again the next play and do it again the next play and do it again the next play. Players like that who can just do it over and over again, like they are so rare because it's really hard to do that. And then he is very slippery. Yeah. So he can really
got no
bend.
Bones, right?
Bend. And that's a trait in itself because it's not the same surface. He can get lower. Yeah. He can do things that others can't. So he is unique. But man, does he love playing. You can tell he and Vaughn have such a good connection from all the pass rush work they've done through the years. But he's definitely somebody that I hold in high regard around our league.
And Coach, sticking with our defense, you've said in your press conferences, I want to see more Commanders football. What does that mean in regards to this defense and what we're going to see?
Yeah, just I hope you and the fans, that when they're watching, just see it all over the tape. The speed, the hitting, the finishing. And when we hit those markers, that's when we're at our best. And so I just want to see that in every phase, in every play, make sure, hey, that's how we get down all the time. And it's super challenging to do. But we have really high standards as a group, and I'm certain that we'll meet them.
And I guess my question would be how do you do that? I came from a different era a little bit of football where it was like, if you want to get tougher, we did tough things, but now the restrictions are a little bit different. How do you guys make sure that gets across every single day in practice?
Well, good news, I don't have any question about our toughness.
Neither do I.
But I'm saying, I don't want you to think you have to do more hitting. You have to finish more.
I see.
And you have to make sure your leverage is right. You got to take your shots on the ball. But there is an element of just relentlessly finishing the play. And this play, and not picking and choosing when you go. I just have to go.
Because you never know. You never know when it's the play, right?
Yeah, and so this might be the one. And I'm going to go and find out. And if I can't go, we got another group to go in. So that's why having a rotation is so critical. And what makes a guy like Crosby so unusual is that he can play that hard and almost play every play. And so it's such a challenging thing, but that's what I want us to see. Love the attitude, where we're going to be, but I just want to make sure that every time we get down, that everybody sees that. Not to say it's always going to go your way, but I just want to make sure that our style looks intact all the time.
And Coach, we talked about that loss of Austin Eckler and what that meant for the entire offense.
Yep.
We look at the defense, we're losing a guy in Wise who's bringing that Super Bowl champion experience. What do you want to see from the depth? Because we have a lot of young guys on that defensive line. They're going to get a chance to really get some playing time. What do you want to see from them?
Yeah, I think it's important when you're playing and you're getting moved up, you don't have to put the cape on. You have to do your role really good. And as a young guy, I'll just do it more, I'll do it extra. No, man, do your job really, really well. And that is plenty. And that's what I want to make sure we get across, because that's the messaging. You want this opportunity so bad, you can know it's right there. And man, do it to your level at a remarkable level. But if you try to jump outside of a gap or do something different, man, you're actually throwing a wrench in the system. So man, do your thing at high level. We've got belief and trust in the guys that are in there. And so losing a guy like Wise, it's a big deal. And these other players who are going to take up some of that space, they're ready for that.
And Coach, we can sit and talk to you all day long, but my favorite part of the show is coming up. Film study with you and Logan Paulsen. Coach, we appreciate you previewing this game. We'll talk to you more in a little bit. Commanders family, our head coach Dan Quinn and Logan Paulsen, about to get in this film room. Always great getting to catch up with Logan and Coach. We'll hear from them a little later in film study, but first, it's time for our Prime Player, brought to you by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dinner reservations or private dining, call 703-840-2099. Now, we spoke on the Legion of Boom earlier, and one of the main pieces of that Legion of Boom was our future Gold Jacket, Bobby Wagner. Now, he's coming off his 10th consecutive season with 100-plus tackles, led the team in tackles versus the Packers, and he received a 75.3 PFF grade on just 68 snaps. Now, Wagner will have his hands full facing another explosive offense coached by a familiar face in Pete Carroll for the Raiders. Now, we got to go to break, but when we come back, Coach and Logan are headed into film study to talk all about veteran tight end Zach Ertz. And later on, Logan, Coach, and I will count down the kickoff. We'll be right back with all that and more right after this break.
The Game Plan is presented by the Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn. And by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly.
Welcome back into the Game Plan with Dan Quinn, presented by Salisbury University. Now it's time for Film Study, sponsored by Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn.
Thanks, Brian. Coach, I just want to talk about, I love the tight end position. It's
Yeah,
always got a soft spot in my heart. And this guy, Zach Ertz, man, has just done a great job, over the first couple games of showing to me some of the nuance of the position, specifically when it comes to running routes. And I love this little choice route, little angle route down here in the red zone, short motion. And, I don't know if this is a true choice, but breaking across this defender's face, just see a lot of nuance, a lot of savvy there.
Yeah, I think sometimes a formation can get you into a certain alignment. And as you know, down in the red zone, there's so much more man-to-man. There's so much less space. So look at this particular one, you can't sell outside leverage anymore.
Right.
Helmet turn, going all the way out, coming out of the stack. So the defender, man, I've got to go be ready to play the flat. Down in the red zone, you have to defend it this way too, Logan, because there's not the shots down the field. So to set up a leverage, to know that you can break it back inside, and then an absolutely dime of a pass also by Jaden into the right location, depending where the leverage is.
I'm glad you brought the pass up, because this dude is a pretty good football player, and he's got eyes on the quarterback, and darts this thing in there. Great route, but also great ball by Jaden.
Yeah, but just two guys that have done that one a lot. Over and over. You don't get tired of those repetitions.
Yeah, it's always good to see a good, well-executed play. And so he does it, in the field, does it in the red zone, and different styles. That one I think was, like you said, great job, leaning the helmet out, getting everything going out. And this one's a little bit more physical. And I've seen a lot of smaller guys, twitchier guys do this route, and just how he does it a little bit differently here is, I think, good.
And I think what you also want to know is, how am I attacking this person's leverage where they're trying to play off, where earlier on the route I was trying to work one side leverage to another. So being aggressive and then, going to close the cushion, that's a big difference. Now the in break where it can only go to one spot, and what a good pass, again, into the right spot, working your leverage back inside, knowing that the ball can only be to one player.
Because I actually think this defender plays this pretty well. He's square, he doesn't give up the inside. He keeps his leverage here. And so for Zach to kind of say, I can get it done either way, I think is a pretty impressive rep by him.
And knowing that some guys may want to come down and play on the line, some guys may want to play off. And so he's got the arsenal to know how somebody's trying to play, and then I'll try to go win.
Yeah, that just comes from reps, right? Experience, right? You've seen every type of pitch, every type of defense, and you have solutions and answers for it.
But the competitor and finishing a plays, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite routes of the season so far, and it's kind of nerdy. We're going to inside stem, push vertical, and then we're going to take a really friendly angle out. And it reminded me of shades of another Hall of Fame tight end in Jason Witten. You know what I'm saying? In terms of always protecting the throw and always taking good stems to set the DB up. Because again, a lot of people, a lot of young players, in my opinion, Coach, they take this inside stem, they panic, they say, I've lost my leverage. He's cool as a cucumber here.
Yeah, knowing that into this space, I'm diving down to get the defender now to get onto the top hip so I can try to undercut to go. And by doing that, and now on the whip back out, you've now created the space again. So selling it down all the way to the hash, knowing the defender knows where his potential help might be. So he's trying to own that leverage. And then now I can bring it back out. So you're right, having patience. Don't speed it up, run the route, take it to the right space, and don't get tired of doing that over and over again.
I was going to say, how many times have you seen young players, they get to right here on the route and they say, I got to freak out.
Yes.
But the ability to take another step, force the defender to cross his feet over, that's, like you said, it comes from just doing it over and over and over again.
And the details that go into that, it may seem, not a big thing, but it has to be done all the time.
And the other thing that I love about this too, Coach, again, tight end play gets me going, but Antonio Gonzalez came and talked to me one time and said, imagine this guy's trying to stop your family from eating food. and I see that here from him, right? He's trying to throw this off. He's trying to grab him. He says, no, this is my football. I'm going to get this ball completed.
And then going back to make sure, he can aggressively go, see the ball in and take it. And so his run after catch has really actually improved this year. I think we'll even see that on the next clip.
I was going to say, this is perfect because this is one of the most impressive run after catches I've seen. So this is a fun play to me because it's a little bit like old school leak, why leak, but the setup's a little bit different. And he kind of gets sneaky through here, but I love the setup by Cliff to kind of pull the coverage out. Terry does a great job taking this guy out. The back pulls this guy up here, and there's a nice little void here. And actually, I thought Seven played this pretty well, but
he did. It's a hard play to see, especially on a play pass. But you're right, with Terry taking the first player high, Austin taking out the flat player to go. Now there's some space. And even with the linebacker with that kind of speed coming, you can see he's feeling like he's out leveraged. He's got to go try to take to his upfield shoulder. How smart is that with the back, the defender to you, to then cut it back and get into the end zone? So I love the play design. I agree with you. And then the second part of this one is the finishing of the play. That's such a big deal.
Yeah, and it just seems like he's a little bit twitchier, a little bit more aware. Because again, this dude's one of the fastest linebackers in the NFL.
Yes.
And again, there's more to football than being fast and athletic. There's some old man at the YMCA going on here. Love to see that from him.
Yeah, that's the part of the technique and the knowing and where it comes. And so being on the same page on a play design like that, that's a big deal.
Yeah, awesome, Coach. It's always fun breaking down film with you. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to watch you guys get it done today versus the Raiders.
Always get to learn a lot from Coach and Logan. Now it's time for your winning numbers, brought to you by Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. And our winning numbers this week are from our veteran tight end, Zach Ertz. In his 13th NFL season and second with the Burgundy and Gold, Ertz is our second leading receiver entering week 3. He's put up 9 receptions for 90 yards and connected with JD5 for 2 touchdowns. It seems like he's found the fountain of youth here in Washington with Jaden Daniels. Now, Ertz was a big part of the offensive success in week 1 and in week 2. And we can't wait to see what else our guy will do out on the field this season. And speaking of success on the field, let's take a look at the DMV tackle and flag coaches of the week, David Bishop and Shamika Williams. Now, Coach Bishop has led his team to a strong 2-0 start and is equally impactful off the field. To Bishop, coaching high school athletes includes academic support, positive culture building, school pride, and mentorship that goes beyond the gridiron. The team's first ever high school girls flag football coach of the week is Coach Shamika Williams from John F. Kennedy High School. Coach Williams passionately supports her players, celebrating academic successes and personal achievements just as much as on-field victories. Congratulations, Coach Bishop and Coach Williams. Now, let's take a look at more of our upcoming competition. It's time for Competitive Edge, brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. And taking a look at the numbers from week 2 for Washington and for Las Vegas. The Burgundy and Gold put up 18 points against the Packers with touchdowns from Deebo Samuel Sr. and tight end Zach Ertz. Now, despite the loss, Ertz and Samuel combined for 108 receiving yards and led the Commanders' offense in touchdowns going into week 3. Now, Washington's defense will face off against quarterback Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders, who lost on Monday Night Football 20-9. The Burgundy and Gold will be ready for this week 3 matchup back at home at Northwest Stadium. Now, we got to go to break, but be sure to stick around, Commanders family, because Logan, Coach, and I will be right back to count down to kickoff and talk more about this week 3 matchup. Welcome back into the Game Plan with Dan Quinn, sponsored by Salisbury University Seagulls, in support of alumnus Dan Quinn. Now it's time for your must-watch matchup presented by Marsh McLennan Agency. Now our must-watch matchup is Dan Quinn and Pete Carroll. Now this may be Pete Carroll's first season in Las Vegas. However, he's very familiar with our guy, Dan Quinn. Carroll became the Seahawks head coach in 2010, while Dan Quinn coached alongside as the Seahawks defensive coordinator from 2009 to 2010. During their time together, the Seahawks had a dominant defense known as the Legion of Boom and won a Super Bowl in the 2013 season. Now it's time for our countdown to kickoff presented by SeatGeek. The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek. Coach, it's been a great show, but before we let you go, there's a relationship and bond that you have with Pete Carroll. You guys go way, way back. Bobby Wagner has a bond with him as well. How excited are you to be able to compete against him again? And what makes a guy like Pete Carroll, who's done this for so long, such a great competitor?
Yeah, I think one, I've got a lot of, gratitude for him. And I'd been a defensive line coach for a long time in the NFL and gave me the chance to do it as a coordinator. And so that takes belief, and it also instills confidence, just like we do down to the players as a head coach. You can also do that, to your assistant coaches and help them develop and help them grow. And so I learned early on, man, that he had a philosophy and was rock solid about it. And oftentimes as a play caller that goes to become a coordinator, okay, that's all there is. But the coordinator who becomes a head coach, you have to adapt and change and make sure the philosophy, you're not just coaching that unit anymore. You're coaching the entire team. And it was so clear that he was connected to the entire team. And I felt that philosophy and learned it and got to live it. And so, tons of gratitude. And hopefully I put my own flavor on my own. Yeah. But, 10 years ago, that was a really impactful time for me to have that kind of belief and confidence. And, now hopefully I get to pay that forward to some other assistants, through my time in Atlanta and Dallas and here. It's one of the things I enjoy the most.
So is that the thing you feel like you've taken from him, is kind of that energy and that passion? I mean, because like one of the things that always struck me as a player was just your ability, like your just love of the environment and to create an environment that everybody loves. And I always assumed you got that from Pete. Is that something you could take from him?
I think it probably was enhanced there.
I see.
And I'd always enjoyed the coaching, the relationships, the energy that went to it. But he was really impactful, man. Do it in your own authentic way. And I thought, what a great way to go about it. But having a philosophy, not just defense, about the whole team. How do you want the whole thing to look? How should it run? And in like a little 4-year span, I'd worked for 2 excellent head coaches, and Nick Saban and Pete Carroll, one at the Dolphins and one at the Seahawks. And they did it in different ways, but man, they were rock solid in a philosophy. I think as any leader, and like, you better explain the vision of how you want things done and how it's going to go. And those 2 were super clear at that. And so it's no surprise that they did as well as they did, because there wasn't gray area, there wasn't ambiguity. It was, this is how we're going to go about our business. Didn't mean they did it the same. In fact, they were very different, but they were both so successful because they didn't have to be anybody else. They were exactly, the same all the time. And that was a big lesson.
Coach, we are so excited for today's matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. Thank you for taking the time with us. This is The Game Plan with head coach Dan Quinn. For DQ, Logan Paulsen, I'm your host, Bryan Colbert Jr. We'll see y'all today at Northwest Stadium.
The Game Plan, sponsored by Salisbury University, was filmed at the Big Bear AI Command Center studio. Big Bear AI offers mission-ready AI for a rapidly evolving world, proudly protecting the Washington Commanders and its fans.